Welcome to Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus. Yes, I am Tony McGee. Yes, I am back, and I am leading the picks. What you guys got to say about that? Oh, yeah, I had to come back here and get this stuff straight. When we come back, we'll get it straight why the Washington Redskins made a great move. We'll be back in a moment.
Geico makes it easy to get help when I need it. With licensed agents available 24/7, it's not just easy. It's having Jerome Bettis on your flag football team easy. Go get him, Bus!
Ooh. Come on, Bus. Come on. Hey, wait. I'm glad I got the flag. I got your flag. I'm glad I got your flag.
It's Geico Easy. Yeah. With licensed agents available 24/7.
49-0!
A new era has begun for Ron Rivera, named the new head coach of the Washington Redskins. When asked about bringing winning back to this organization, he said that I believe in me and I'll bet on me. He said that he came here to win and to win a Super Bowl.
What the Redskins have needed is a cultural change. Someone that can bring a winning culture to our organization. And it starts and ends with our head coach. When looking for that man, I look for a class act. That's how you describe Coach Rivera. One thing that's very, very important, we're going to have one voice, and only one voice alone, and that's the coaches.
People asked me when I first got let go, I told everybody I wanted to get back into football, and they asked me, well, what is it that you're going to be looking for? And I simply said fit. Okay, I simply said fit. The timeline is that right after, I think it was Friday of the week I was let go, Mr. Snyder reached out to my agent. So why did I choose the Redskins? Probably the question. I know a lot of you guys are wondering that right now with everything that's out there. Well, I can tell you right now, this is not about the money. If I wanted the money, I'd still be out there trying to pit a couple teams against each other. I took this job for one simple reason. One simple reason. Because Dan Snyder came to me with a very interesting perspective. For weeks, he's explored the reasons why some teams win and some teams don't. He told me the common factor in that transitional success of teams like the Patriots, the Seahawks, and the Chiefs, and some of the other ones, was the decision to take it and make a coach-centered approach. Not an owner-centered approach, or a team president, or a GM, but a coach-centered approach. I told Mr. Snyder that I appreciate the fact that he believes the head coach matters. But I told him I would be honored, but under one condition. It had to be a player-centered culture. A player-centered culture, something I truly do believe in. My responsibility is to get the most out of the players, to work with them, teach them, mentor them. If I have to do it one by one, I most certainly will do it. I've done it in the past, and I'll do it again. Everything we do is going to be about winning. Okay, we're going to learn to do things the right way, and that's the only way we're going to do them. Because if it doesn't help us, we're not doing it, man. That's just as simple as it gets. Things will begin and end with one simple principle: discipline. I come from a military family where discipline, it isn't taught, it's lived. It's expected from day one. I have a philosophy that every player, every coach, everyone who works for this organization, they'll know it day one. You're not going to play for this team, you're not going to work for this team if you don't have the discipline and the commitment to give us everything you have. No exceptions, no excuses. And this is the thing I'm going to ask from the players. Do it the way we teach you. Do it the way we ask. You do it that way, the success will be yours. Okay? You do it that way, the success will be yours. If you don't, the success is going to be yours, but it's not going to be right. Why? Because if you fail, it's on you. Do it our way. Do it the right way. And if we fail, it's on me. I wanted to assemble a coaching staff that was truly dedicated to the players and teachers. Okay? I don't have to have great big names. What I have to have is great teachers. We want to teach these guys how to play football to the best of their abilities, to the best of our abilities, and also to be good quality young men off the field. No matter who it is, no matter who's working with us, it has to be a collaboration. This is not a one-man show. I don't have all the answers. I'm going to rely on people around me. I'm going to rely on the coaches and the personnel that we've put in place to help us put this football team together. The thing about Jack that I really, truly will appreciate having him on the staff too is one of the things that I tell young coaches is that the one thing you have to have on your staff is a guy that's been there. Like a little saying, don't draw me a map unless you've been there. Well, Jack's been there. And Jack and I had this conversation earlier today, and I told Jack, if you see something wrong, you see something that we need to think about, please tell me, because that's the only way I'm going to know. This team has some raw talent. It really, truly does. It's got some quality veteran leadership that can help this team become contenders. So at the end of the day, guys, this is what the team's going to be made of. It's going to be made of good quality young football players and solid veteran leadership. But you know, as they say, hail to the Redskins. Let's roll, man. Let's go.
I think we're right. I think we're right. And you know what? It's been a long time, but you know what? Sooner or later, you get it right. So I think we've got it right.
He talked about winning. He already said he came here because he expects to win a Super Bowl. So he's already brought that winning mentality in everything that he says.
Not only did he say he wants to win, but he also said, watch and see. He said, I'm not covering up anything. I'm not running from anything. He said, here's what my goals are. Now y'all watch and see. Hey, ain't nothing you can say. I love it.
No excuses, no exceptions. You know, I like that. Tony McGee here talking about the Washington Redskins along with my co-host who have been here, and I'm coming back here to bring discipline, Mike Baker. He's been on the field, but I don't know what he's been doing. And I got the G here. He's been cool. Wearing sunglasses.
You need discipline.
Donna Hopkins out doing interviews when we doing the show.
And I'm working hard.
You
need discipline.
But I'll tell you what, he said a lot of good things in there. And each of you tell me, what did you like about what he was saying? I like that no exceptions, no excuses.
I like the fact that, Tony, he said that he's bringing discipline back to an organization that has been undisciplined for so long. And the thing about it is he said that he wants to bring teachers in here to help teach these guys how to win and play. And already he's made some great changes. The fact that he moved the ping pong table and all those things out of the locker room. But the thing about it is I like the fact that he put winning on his shoulders. Already he's coming in, Tony, making some moves, and I know people saying he's saying a lot of things and they still have to, you know, put it on the field and play the game and everything, but he's bringing in some things that he said that has not been here in a long time. I think they made a right move in bringing him here because he was a winner in Carolina for 9 seasons, took them to the Super Bowl in 2015, and I think that they can do that again here in Washington.
But, he said it's going to be player-based, and I like that. You and I have said many times, and I think that the NFL should collectively get together with the Players Association, and every team should have 3 or 4 players on it. I like his player-based opportunity.
I like that as well. I like the fact that it's player-based, but then he also said that, you know, do what we tell you to do, listen to what we tell you to do it our way 100%. I understand what he's saying there, but also as a player, what I want you to do as my head coach, I want you to give me a strategy, I want you to give me a game plan, and then I want you to let me tweak it. Because I'm the player. I've been doing this since I was a kid. I've been doing it long, and I'm the person that does it well. I know my position. He's a head coach. He should be a great strategist. Give them a game plan to go out there, but let the players tweak it. They got to tweak the game plan because he plays chess. We're the chess players.
But he did say that in some things that you probably didn't hear. The interview was so long, and he said that he's depending on everybody to voice what's going on. He's dependent on the coaches, the front office, the players, everybody. So I think he's saying what you're talking about is everybody is involved in this.
To address what both of you said, one thing that you said I think is important is he took all of the player and stuff out of the locker room. You need to explain to the fans what you meant there. they don't know what you meant.
Yeah. In the locker room where the team locker room is, sometimes they have games and they had a big ping pong table that after practice they came in and played ping pong and other table games, and he said that there's no place for that in the locker room, so he removed all of that.
And I like what you said about tweets.
But Tony, what do we have at Redskin Park? What game did we come in and play?
I don't know. I wasn't
basketball. Yeah, you were basketball.
You sure?
But it wasn't in the locker room.
It wasn't in the locker room.
Yes, it was in the locker room. What do you think it was at?
It was in the back.
But not in the direct locker room.
Right there.
You don't want to get
what I'm saying is, I want a competitive culture. If you went into that basketball room, you would have swore that the game itself. Like, you would have swore we was playing for like 10 championships.
No, but the ping pong was like that because I was out there one day and they were playing, like, special teams guys was playing against the defensive guys. And I took video and I was wanting to pick up a ping pong thing too, and it was competitive.
Well,
but I still think that it's no room.
That's why we know you weren't no basketball player.
I was
talking about ping pong.
No, I really played basketball.
But you just told on yourself.
But Tony, I really don't want those things in the locker room.
But you know
either.
what though? G is right. I've seen coaches was in there playing the basketball, and when you got in there, and what you didn't do well, you tell the team
later. What did Coach Gibbs play?
Huh? I didn't never see him.
He played basketball.
But guess what?
You're right.
But guess what?
Must be getting on
But Tony, but guess what?
But
guess what? They were winning when they had those things.
It was competitive,
too.
and what G is saying.
And when they get back to a winning culture, maybe those things will come back in the locker room.
Like if I'm seeing somebody in there and they're not using the ping pong table, they're not using those things, and those people are not competing against it, then that to me is a problem. If they're sitting there and they're not being used, it was never being used, there's no go back and forth where literally you're literally wanting to come to blows if you lose.
Well, maybe he said
the
culture has to be changed.
I agree with that.
And Mike, he had a list, a bevy of things that he wanted to accomplish.
Yes.
One thing I wish he'd just come out and say it, but at the same time, on that list, what did you think was the most important thing?
Well, I'll get to the list. I think the most important thing that nobody's mentioned, I mean, you all have in our discussion, is Dan Snyder's process. Dan has taken a lot of heat over the years, but one thing he's a good businessman. And I love the process that he followed this time. You heard this from Donna's piece. He picked up the phone as soon as Ron Rivera was fired. He was already in a coaching search. He didn't wait till the end of the season. Most people don't realize he had a five-person panel. And I'll bet you Darryl Green was one of those people. Joe Gibbs was. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if the man sitting to my left was on that panel.
He was not.
But this search committee was out there and making some calls, doing some investigating, and the minute Ron Rivera popped into that, I'm sure he had a couple of meetings and decided they wanted Ron, and they went after him. They didn't dally. The thing that I like most about this, and then I'll get to the rest of the list, is that he hired Ron Rivera. Ron Rivera had several other interviews or several other possible interviews. Everybody wanted him. We got him. And the reason I think we got him is finally exactly what you said. This is going to be a coach-centered process. If he wants players, he wants players. If he wants to play players, he's going to play those players. Because as he said, places like Belichick and those kind of teams have had success doing that. So he got more control. There'll be fewer hands in the pot. And I think this is going to lead to success for the Redskins, and I think we should do a 36th year.
I've been gone a long time, Mike, and I noticed one thing you said. You said we. When did they hire you as well while I was
I've
gone?
been actually.
What is your position?
He's assistant to Dallas.
When you can sit next to Gary Clark every week, two Super Bowl Redskins, and now I'm learning a lot from Donna.
Don't even be trying to front up on him. We found out, for all of you fans out there, we found out a few weeks ago that Mike is secretly rooting for who?
The Cowboys.
He got Mike McCarthy. I thought that would have been a good second choice. They got him today. I think I like Mike McCarthy.
Oh, he didn't answer your question.
You didn't answer my question. You were rooting for the Dallas Cowboys.
We got you.
I was rooting for the Eagles. I root for NFC East teams.
Never.
You heard it here first.
I never.
Come on.
If you see him on the street, booey. But no, I'm just joking.
It's our division.
But, and let's take a look at it. And then you got Jack Del Rio, who is a former head coach as your defensive coordinator. Now, that's another coach in the waiting.
Your 4-3's back.
And I like the 4-3. What do you guys think about this overall move?
I think this is a tremendous move. I really like Ron Rivera. I always admired him, and the players love him. Everybody respects him. He's no nonsense. I mean, I think he's going to be wonderful for the Washington Redskins.
I think he'll bring a discipline to the team.
Yes.
And
Okay.
that's much needed.
Let's start looking at the people that we look at are the most valuable for this year and see how they fit in. You said that the player of the year you think offensively.
Well, I actually picked that.
I know. I wait, Gary. I wanted to ask you, but I'm late.
I did pick
You
it, but
already know.
I checked briefly with you all before the show. I think Terry would have had 1,000 yards.
Terry who?
Scary Terry. You talking about the player of the
Lauren.
year?
And what position does he play?
He's a
Wide
wide receiver.
So, Gary, is
I
that
think they
telling
got
me
with him.
that this guy is going to fit into his program? Now, let's look at Carolina. He always had good wide receiver. Do you think it's a chance?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to think so. I think, quite honestly, I think they got 3 really good young receivers
Yeah.
that they got right now at a basement bargain price. I mean, at the end of the day, they got them in with the next
2
3 to
really
4
good
years.
ones,
Yeah.
too.
I mean, so they're 3. They are. Now, this is giving them some props. They could be the second coming of the posse. I really feel strong about these young men, how well they're playing.
I got to take a break
And the
on
things
that.
they're doing.
The posse is the standard, and they're the
That is the
second
standard.
coming. They handcuffed lightning and threw thunder in jail. We'll be back in the moment.
I like that.
She wanted to move someplace warm.
But he wanted snow for the holidays. So we built a snow globe.
Get that later.
But the one thing we could both agree on was getting Geico to help with our homeowner's insurance.
What?
Switching and saving was really easy.
I love you!
Sweetie, hands off the glass.
Ugh.
Call Geico and see how easy saving on homeowners and condo insurance can be.
I love her!
Ionitis. If you look at that, and the most impressive part of that is he was a defensive end playing in a 3-man where he's usually getting double. I know about that quite a lot. And he had 8.5 sacks. And he was the player of the year to me. Maybe one of their best. Now, the other 2 the big guys in there, they did well, but this guy was consistent.
Well, what the 4-3 defense is going to do for London Collins, Sweat, and those guys up front is it's going to keep Allen from being double teamed, and then it's going to let London Collins play his true position as being wide open. So changing from that 4-3 defense, even with Ionitis, who got double teamed, and some of those guys, you can't do that so much in a 4-3 defense, and I think they've got the personnel now for that 4-3.
I don't know. The only thing that curious me about the 4-3 is they got 3 very good defensive tackles there. That's how you play the 3-man line. That's the way we did in New England. Do they have the edge rushers that can play down with their
Well,
hand?
they will be getting
if
Chase
their
Young.
hand in the dirt.
You're the one, and we've all talked about that. We think Kerrigan is a hand in the dirt guy. We definitely think Chase Young.
He's not gonna be here.
Right? Yeah, you don't. Kerrigan, I don't.
You know what I'm saying? He's a hand in the dirt, but
Yeah. He's going to be on the team.
You're gonna have
You're gonna have. Say is he got 1 foot
And
right.
No, you're going to have
And
Sweat,
Montez
and you're going to
Sweat,
have Chase on the other side
Chase Young.
when they draft
Sure.
him.
But let's talk about Chase Young. I've seen him in 3 or 4 games. Tell me what's impressive about him. He had 16.5 sacks this year.
He only has one move, though. That's the bull rush.
That's what I'm afraid of. Mike, how did you pick?
I watched a couple games because you've told
first
me.
Time I
But
saw
can't
him
you
play.
learn?
But you know
more?
what? He could be this version of the human forklift. If you're the human forklift,
Yeah.
and that's happen to be your one technique, you may be okay with that.
Oh, he can be the version of the guy they got down in Atlanta, number 44, who had 15 sacks one year. And
I mean,
5
because you
the
still
next.
have to stop the bull rush. I
know
mean,
it.
at the end of the day,
But
that's just
doesn't
what
that-
I don't know if he's 280. They say he's a good-looking 280. But now when you got these 360-pound tackles, that bull rush ain't.
Does
is
that
not
wear on
going
your
to
knees?
always
Does that
work.
shorten your career? But if you have your spin
no.
moves and all the things.
No, you got to
have,
always have. And you know what these guys do not have? One thing, and his soul rests in peace, Hank Bullitt, who he was with Michigan State, and he was with New England. He was the coordinator. And I remember when he went there, he said, "What is you guys' first best move?" He had everybody line up and do their best move. He said, "Now put 3 in front of that start the same way and always use their bread and butter." I did that my whole career, and I tell you what, you got to have a game plan.
All right.
You got to have more than one move, Tony.
Exactly.
But Tony, isn't that something that you can learn?
Unless you're like Tony. Tony, if I'm right, you used to bench press 500 and what?
Well, I was in the 4s, but Dexter did the 5s.
No, I mean that's.
But I ran 4-4.
That's.
And he's fast,
That's two
Chase Young.
forklifts.
I mean that's something that, like strength is something that is very hard to.
Yeah, but you know what's the combination they need and what he may have, strength and speed.
Oh, nice.
That's Dexter Manley.
Oh yeah.
That's what he's got.
6'3", 260, running a 4.5 every day and benching 500. Well, you know, okay,
Reggie.
so we talking about that. Our MVPs. Give me another one, Mike.
In terms of MVP?
Yeah. Who you
Well,
think?
I thought Allen was right behind him because Jonathan Allen had 6 sacks.
Yeah, I know.
And I think that was a particular. Remember, he was hurt last year, and I think he did a particularly good
Who
job.
was behind on your offense? Who did you think?
Well, I think AP because he had, if he'd had a little bit more luck, he'd had 1,000 yards. What did he have, 898 or something?
Yeah, I wanted you to say that because you said, do it look as if he's going to bring AP back and put him in a prominent role, or will Geis be the man?
And then you got Love, the guy that they drafted also. That
be
if
based
Geis,
on who's best.
Yeah.
Thank
At the end of the
G.
day, I don't care how old or young a person is. Whoever wins the position in training camp should have the position. That's just what it should be. Like,
And you won't have something like that thing
like-
that
But
you
happened
need
this
all
year where
three.
you don't let your MVP from last year even dress the first
I'm
game.
just saying. I mean,
And you
whoever
don't-
wins the position
Yeah.
wins the position.
And you don't let your potential first-round draft pick run any of the first-team plays in training camp, and don't give him enough work so he can learn the playbook. That was awful.
And
I mean,
Awful what they
but-
did to him.
Yeah,
Awful.
I
But
tell
the
you,
quarterback position, Tony, is key. And Rivera talked about Haskin becoming a leader. That has to be key right there. But you all talked about, would they bring
he has
in
to
an old
become a
Carolina
leader. Any
quarterback?
chance.
he doesn't
Any
necessarily
chance?
have to become the leader of the team. What he has to become is a good quarterback.
That
And
is
he had to be
we
a
won
mature
Super
quarterback.
Bowls with quarterbacks that were great quarterbacks. They did their job. Like I think everybody just has to do their job. When you do your job,
Thank you.
everybody looks good. Everybody
you.
looks like they're the MVP. Everybody looks like they should be the cat's meow at the end of the day. So
in the
you just got to do your job.
In the Haskins huddle, look at this one statistic and tell me where the work needs to come from. Can we take a look at this?
Let's take a look
and look
at
at
it.
how many times he was sacked.
Well, wait, whoa, Mike.
Sacked
Okay.
29
And
times.
He'll
at
get
least,
better over time with
but that's not all his fault.
No, I
though.
didn't
No.
say it was, but that's either you have to work on your offensive line,
Okay.
Oh, that's a
or
must.
you got to scheme better for him.
And that's one thing
It's
I
a combination
think
of
is
all
very
those
important.
things. He also has to get rid of the ball a little faster.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they have to block a little better. I mean, that's all. It's a combination. It's football. It's always a combination. I hate when everybody tries to get the blame or get all the
Yeah, I
credit.
don't-
It doesn't work
yeah.
that way. It truly is a team sport. You can't do one without the other.
Mm-hmm.
So he cannot be great unless his line's great.
Well,
Well,
what
that's
about
just
the
what it is.
offensive coordinator? They still up in the air about that with Kevin O'Connell, who down the stretch the last 4 games, you could see him starting to open up the offense. And there's some other names out there as far as
You have Scott Turner.
But
Scott
to
What was
me,
the offense he ran? What was the offense he ran in Carolina? Was it the West Coast offense? Or was it a more vertical offense?
it was a
hoping it's
Cam
more
Newton
vertical.
offense.
Yeah.
And then
But
they
yeah,
got
but
this,
was that
they
based
got
off
this
the West
huge-
Coast? Or was it based off of being vertical?
It had a little
It was
West
less
Coast,
Coast and
in it,
vertical.
but it
It had a
also
lot of
made
deep
it where
routes.
the quarterback had
Yeah, a lot of
decisions
deep
that he
routes.
could make.
I like
You see,
that.
that changed this year when they got the all around the running back they could do all pro in both things,
Yeah.
and that's the kind of player you want. But at the same time, I don't think it's the offense. I think whatever offense, if you got a good offensive line,
Yeah.
you got a quarterback that don't make a lot of mistakes. You got a running back that can hit the hole and receivers get open. I don't care if you do West Coast, East Coast, Middle East, or whatever. You got a good, and I shouldn't have said that like that. I don't mean it like that. But what I'm saying is you got a good offensive team, and that's what you need.
Well, Cam Newton is floating out there. Do you bring
But you
him
need
here?
vertical. You got to add vertical.
I
to
would.
it.
No, I think
Why wouldn't you?
I think you have a diamond in the rough in Dwayne Haskins. I think you got a star. And to sit him down and bring in Cam, no.
That would be a mess.
Everyone I talked to said the one thing about him is he needs to mature.
Well, he will mature out on the field, not sitting on the bench. Can I ask you about the wall and how it did? You were talking about what are you going to do now? You got 3 guys and you're going to bring in 2
Your
pass
wall
rushers.
is those 3
All
guys.
right.
Look at them, all
Look at 'em.
defensive tackles.
I mean, I think the one you sit down, believe it or not, is Payne. And don't forget you got Tim Settle.
Well, but wait.
No, I
If
don't
you're
set
going to
him down.
4-3 and you've got Chase Young on one side and you have Montez Sweat on the other, and you've got Allen and Ioannidis
Okay,
in the
let's
middle.
digress. About 2 years ago, Ioannidis was one of the starting inside defensive tackles. He had a good year, but nothing like he had this year.
That's true.
Payne is a foundational player.
He's getting doubled a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's where he position that he's
he
playing.
makes
He's getting
him
double
so
enough.
you don't sit him down.
But
you don't
got-
sit none of those guys.
You have the best
You got to figure it out.
young defensive line in football. When you've got Settle back there and you've got your 2 pass rushers and you have those 3 guys, you got a
Innovation
phenomenal
is one
defense.
thing, and I tell you what we used to do when we led the league in New England 2 out of 3 years. We even sometimes went to a 5-man line. Think about that.
Wow. Why not?
Haven't heard that one.
You
That
do what you
would be
do.
nice.
The key
Why
is
not?
like I agree with Tony. The key is innovation. You do what it takes to win. People always try to complicate things when you don't have to. What you do is you take the talent that you have and you put them in the best position to win football games. New York, that's why LT got to become mobile. He got to walk around, line up where he wanted to line up. Charles Haley, same thing. You do what you do with your talent. If your talent's not there, then you find another way to showcase your talent. You make sure that you get the ball to your stars. You just find a way to get that done. And when you get that done, you win. I mean, people try to complicate everything that we do, and it's not that. It's all about commitment to the task, it's focus, and it's preparation. If you do those things, you win football games.
Okay.
What we didn't do is we didn't prepare for
I
everything.
think G hit all of it, and now let's talk about. We've looked at we're looking at the offense. We got our offensive player, wide receiver. We got the defensive player. Special teams. They got a return man too. I know who you're going to say is the MVP, but they got a return man now. They
you
got
mean the
somebody that I said return. We gave you a receiver with the offense.
said you mean the
They got a
receiver.
return man now.
Sims Jr.
Well, it's Steven Sims Jr., yeah. And Donna.
What position did he play when he's not returning kicks?
He's
one of my favorite
He's a wide
players.
out. Wide
He's a
receiver.
wide receiver.
He come mostly out of the slot.
And not only
right?
that, he's hungry. He's just a go-getter. I mean, put me anywhere, I'm going to make plays. That's what he says. And when you put him back there, he made plays. When you put him back on the punt, he made plays. When you put him in the slot, he made plays. So those are the guys that you want. And you know what he said at the end of the season? I know people are going to look at us and they're going to try to figure out us because it's our second year. So we have to work harder next year in being improved from what we were in the first year. So already he knows people
Donna,
are
what
going
position does he play again?
wide receiver.
You know what? We haven't heard Gary talk. Ever since the wide receiver
know.
showed up.
Can I?
Punt returner.
I have one question for everybody, and it concerns me. Your 2 top coaches are both former linebackers. You got no big-time guy on the other side of the ball running your offense. Do you trust it to a young Kevin O'Connell, or you try to bring in a name to run that offense?
Well, you know what? You're right on one thing, but a name will not run the offense.
I was just getting ready
Somebody
to think of that.
new with a good
There's a lot of
idea.
names out there that don't become names until they get the opportunity to run offense. You bring in the best guy that can take this talent and make it the
They're
best that
talking
it can
about
be.
Scott Turner who doesn't have, I mean, that's Norv Turner's son. They're talking about Scott Turner. I don't think that he has the kind of expertise that someone like a Kevin O'Connell would have, or somebody else. I'm worried about the offensive side of the ball.
See, I'm a loyal guy. I'd like to see him. You talking about his son, I'd like for him to bring him back in here. Because I think he always have
Turner
been.
was good offensive coordinator.
Always have been a good offensive coordinator. And what they need is continuity, and they need experience now, and they need someone that's in there that, you know, you're not worried that he may not know what he's doing. We're worried that he'll get the right plays at the right time.
Would Norv come back, you think?
I don't know.
No.
Bring in Mark Rippon.
Now, that's not a bad idea.
Why not?
Quarterback coach.
You heard it here first.
I'm telling you. You got a smart guy. He understands
Very
the
smart.
game. It's the only person that Joe gave the reins to like that. 91, a lot of, like, 50% of our offense, which had never happened before, was checked with me at the line of scrimmage. That's Mark calling the plays. That's Mark calling the plays. And, you know, Joe didn't even give Joe T that kind of reign. He gave nobody that kind of reign. Like, he called the plays in, the guy called in, we ran what they called in from the sideline. But with Mark, just a brilliant guy, check with me at the line of scrimmage. You know, and then sometimes we be lined up wrong, and he get us in place to make sure.
You
and
lined
never
up
know.
wrong?
But I never lined up wrong. You know, Art and Ricky.
Oh, well, then we got one to
Art
go
and
out
Ricky.
with this time, and you're talking about check with me. Don, the next thing you got to do, you check with me before you say it. And I did say something that I do want to say. We're not in the politics here, and we're not in the talking about Middle East or anywhere else or what's going on in the world. We just in the praying for everybody. So when I made that reference, it wasn't nothing about what's going on today. It was about our office. We'll be back in a moment.
Norv Turner and
I saved hundreds on my car insurance when I switched to Geico, and this is how it made me feel. It was like that feeling when you go to taco night at your favorite restaurant, and they're the best tasting tacos in the entire world. And just when you think it couldn't get any better, they bring you out another taco because they made an extra one.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
After all the time, Mike finally got it right. We got a Pro Bowl special teams player, Mike.
Yeah, Pro Bowl, first team, NFC. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
your player.
Absolutely.
You probably was big in that. Every week you had his name on there. You didn't put nobody else in there?
No, not every week. No.
There
No,
was
Donna
Hopkins.
Hopkins had
There
her
was
name on there every
Hopkins
couple of
some.
weeks. We had Donna Hopkins' cousin on there.
But that's always a good basis to start with. You got,
Stevens
and now
is on there.
the one thing we haven't mentioned, what's going to happen with the offensive line? We got special teams. Look like we got that finally settled. We got a good defense. We got people we have to change around. That you know that. We know on offense we got skilled people, but that offensive line has to be worked on.
And I think you got 3 people on the offensive line that will be free agents. Flowers was one of the guys that really bloomed on the offensive line. You know,
I
he
like
came
that.
in.
Flowers
Yeah,
bloomed. I
yeah.
like that.
You like that?
Yeah,
don't
there
you?
you go.
And then
Let me write that down.
Flowers bloomed.
By Donna Hopkins.
She stole that from
She
me.
got one
Yeah.
right, finally.
Then Trent Williams, you never know that he, you know, it's talk that he possibly may be back come next year, which that'll be a big, you know, a plus for the offensive line. Don't know yet. Don't know if it'll work out, but his name has been out there where Rivera said that he was going to meet with him. And then, you know, you got Moses on the other end. So the offensive line need to be addressed because you still need a couple of people that you draft or you bring in to solidify that offensive line a little bit more.
I think we just got good possibilities around the whole team. That's what it is. Let's not give too much credit or take too much away. We have good possibilities because you don't play 3-13 and there's anything good about that.
Exactly.
It's not. Possibilities. We got good possibilities. We got good possibilities at line. We got good possibilities in the defensive secondary, but nobody played great.
Exactly.
There's just none of that did not happen. You don't go 3-13.
I was really
Playing
surprised that anybody made the Pro Bowl on the offensive line.
Yeah, Sheriff.
Yeah,
I know
I would've-
Sheriff made it, but I was surprised.
I only thought that Tresway would.
Are you going to give
That's
him
it.
$14 million a year to bring him back, or possibly sign Flowers, who you like and we all like? Sign Flowers, give him some cash for a few years, let Sheriff walk, and then drop down in the draft. If you don't want Chase Young, there's 4 tackles sitting there in the top 12. Get yourself a tackle and a wide receiver.
There's talent everywhere.
Yeah.
There's
Exactly.
talent
You just have
everywhere
to
in
choose
college.
it.
You just have to go find it. And sometimes it's not necessarily in your top picks. If that's the case, I wouldn't be sitting here on the show right now. You know, you just got to go find the talent. You got to do
Diamond
the
in the
research
roughs.
that allows you to find the talent that, you know, are in Division I AA schools, Division II schools. There's talent there that you don't even hear about. You don't even see it because they don't play. They don't play on television, so you never hear about these guys. But they are beasts once they get into the league. Once they get into the league, a perfect example is Charles Haley.
Exactly.
We talk about everybody else, but he was the first to get 5, and that's I AA. And he got 5 in like 9 years. Nobody talks about that,
Stand
and
up
that's
for
I AA.
Brian
Yeah.
So
Mitchell.
the key is
All of
finding
them,
those individuals that want to play and they're hungry, and you're I AA. You're hungry because you've been disrespected for a while.
Gary,
nobody's
tell them what
talking
you're talking about when you said 5, so they can understand what
5
you said.
Super Bowl rings,
How
5
long?
Super Bowl championships.
And it's hard to
in
get
9
one.
years. That's just crazy.
That is.
That's
And that's
crazy.
the kind of player you're looking for.
That's what you're looking for. The guys that can come, and at the end of the day, they want to play, they want to win, and their attitude is just built upon that. There's nothing, you haven't been catered to at that level. You're just not. I mean, every athlete's catered to somewhat because they're the guy on their team, but not to the effect like you are with Division I school, because you're catered to. You're a Heisman guy, you're catered to. You can't
Not
help
as
but
hungry,
to be.
yeah.
Just kind of what it is. You're catered. And you can't help but to feel good about yourself because people are telling you how good you actually are. You know, so sometimes when you get told how good you are, sometimes things start to, because you start believing your headlines.
But
that happens to all of us. At some
But I
point in
still
time.
think that they should address the offensive line because they got the defensive line pretty much put in place. But the offensive line, if you look at it over the last 3 or 4 years, they need to upgrade right there. They need to add some depth there because they've been hammered. This is the first year that they haven't really been hurt, you know, across the offensive line, but they still need some more bodies there. I think some depth there. Players that can play both, some different positions on the offensive line.
And you know, I was listening to your dissertation, what you were saying, Mike. That's what they've been doing for years. Should we give him the money? Should we let him go? Should we go in the draft? Okay, if Sheriff is your player that you're going to build around on the offensive line, give him the money.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Go
Every
out
player
there.
should get paid when they
Exactly.
play.
Give him the
Every
money
player,
and
they
go
should
out
get
and
paid.
find some people that can play with him.
Exactly.
You know, don't go out and start over again and over again and over again.
Because you got talent there.
You know, and they got enough positions, and we got people that need to prove that they still need to be here as well.
What did we see happen? What did we see happen at the receiver position?
Got a
Once
lot
our
of-
stars
Was
were
set
no
down,
longer playing, what do
Yeah.
you see that talent come out and do?
Hello.
make plays.
Wait a minute, they cut their number 1 draft choice,
they-
who got cut again.
That's
You know,
it rises.
they didn't make a mistake
And those
there.
are the guys that nobody thought was going to be anything
Hungry,
for
just
years
like
to
you
come.
said, that's-
When you're hungry and you want to play, and what did he say? What was the first thing he said? He's like, We know that we have to put in the work so they're preparing for us next year.
That's
We're
what he
putting
said.
in the work.
Yeah.
That's the mentality of the guys that understand
And
that
he was the
I wanna
last
win.
person that made the team. Remember, that the receivers in camp and everything. Sims almost didn't make the team, but he made it the last minute as far as that last receiver, as far as special teams.
You know, that's why I never have a problem with a guy that has a little bit of chip on his shoulder. People say that sometimes it takes away from the team. For me, I think it adds to the team. If you're not playing with a little bit of a chip on your shoulder, then something's wrong.
Well, you know, let's start thinking and talking about, we talking about the players here and everything. We all are very well, we know that they'll have to make changes and they'll have to get more players. But let's think about the teams that they're playing against. If you watch the playoffs during the weekend, you saw a lot of good football. NFC is really good this year, and AFC is good. But you saw a changing of the guard. Look at all the quarterbacks now. You want the mobile quarterback. You want those quarterbacks like RG3 could have been.
Yeah.
You want those quarterbacks now that can make plays with their feet and their arm. They're changing from those guys standing up in there now. Same thing on offensive line. You want a center that can pull out and make a block here and pull out like a guard. You want a tackle that can play.
So what is
like
that called, Tony, when they pull out like that?
It's called Joe Jacoby.
The gut. You need wide receivers that can go in. Look at Green Bay. A couple of years ago, remember the only thing they had for a running back was a wide receiver. Now that wide receiver turned them into a winner. So what you need is players now, and what we're saying is just like basketball, where you used to have all kind of positions. In pro ball, you had a center, now you need 5 good players on the free court, and you can win games. Same thing in football.
Tony, it's funny that you say that all the teams that's in the playoffs right now, they run the ball. They got a running game.
We know
and
that.
the teams that don't, that what's passing most of the time, they are not in there. So every team, if you look, that's in there right now, they've got a solid running game.
Everything but one. That's the team I'm worried about. They're a good team, but they don't. Seattle. They got the beast. That doesn't mean nothing. The beast is just like if they came and got Gary today, he can't run like he ran a few years ago.
That's him.
The beast is
He's
giving
broken
them.
down.
What are you trying to
The
say?
beast is giving them inspiration.
Don't make me get out of this
They
seat.
need some. If I get out there, I will pull a hamstring. But what I'm saying is, running is important, and that's Seattle right now. They depending on their quarterback to make the plays. They don't have a good running game, but you look at each and every team.
But he may
New
Well, they
England.
lost
But you know
their
what?
running back.
But y'all forget, he may be the running game.
Yeah, but then now you take a bit. Let's look at the Vikings. You can look from the first play of that game when that running back, he ain't played the last 2 games. He showed me that they were going to run that ball and they were going to win.
Well, you know,
But New England,
y'all saw
New
that
England
pass.
didn't have a running game.
No.
Think
Y'all,
about
what
it.
did you say? What did you say how they won?
What?
I know. Well, wait a
No,
minute.
a push off? No, he did. He pushed off at the end.
Yeah, but you know what?
Tony, he
it was
pushed off.
hand fighting in the end zone.
It wasn't no hand
It
fight.
was a
He
push
extended,
off.
Pushed off.
Barely.
Don't you feel bad though for
don't you
New
teach you
Orleans?
push off
Well,
like
I do
this,
because it was 2
Tony?
years in a row.
Not straight out.
3 years.
But
Well,
that,
one of them was a
that
good
was
play.
great last year, but this one was just, I mean, I wanted New Orleans to win too, but
That
Push
is-
off.
Like
Push
this,
off.
this is how you push off legitimately and legally. Here,
Right.
back up. That is not.
You extend your arm and then he did a
If
push.
you extend, you typically are out of, I mean, this,
would
Well,
you think that?
Baltimore's-
So you definitely would have called that.
I didn't see the play.
I would have called it.
Yeah.
I would have called. Most people would have.
When you see it in slow motion, it looks a lot worse than it did during the
There's
game.
they are
But he
lying
did
about
extend
it.
his
Yeah.
hand. He
They're-
did.
I mean, if this,
His
typically,
arm.
if you do this.
Yeah,
that's
well,
the
you can
first
see
thing
that
they tell.
arm out there.
When you do this,
Yeah,
you
it
usually
was
get
out
flagged
there.
for it. That's why you trying to do it down because they don't see it. You put it in
Yeah.
the stride. And
Well,
then
good
Out of
news
all
for
the game-
Baltimore.
Yeah.
They
I'll
got their
freeze you
running
here,
back
I'll
back.
freeze
England.
you, and I'll
Yeah,
push
that's
here,
gonna be
and I come
important.
back up.
Yeah.
Looks like I'm just running.
Oh, very
It's like
should
you
know.
see part of my motion.
You should know,
yeah,
Tony.
very
Yeah.
interesting.
That's all.
Would y'all guys like to join in with me and Donna?
I know, Tony, yeah.
Well, if you didn't put Donna, you put Donna in. When you said you would have been, yeah. If you added Donna to it, then
What
we
were you
might
trying
as
to
well have
say?
our own conversation.
Who are you guys most impressed with? What team were you most impressed with over the weekend?
I'd probably
I mean,
have to say
I
Titans.
I just think Russell Wilson.
That's a scary team, isn't it?
Yeah, they can run the ball.
They
I
beat
mean,
Brady.
I mean, I got to say Minnesota also, too, because...
We're going to talk about Brady, too. I think, what do you think is going to happen with Brady?
It's interesting.
You know what? I can see the offensive coordinator who have a lot of offers leaving,
I don't know
Brady
why he has
with
a
him.
lot of offers.
Interesting.
Taking Brady with him. And I can see Big Gump coming
I
out
saw
of
him.
retirement
Why does he have a lot
and
of
going
offers,
with
though?
them.
Why does he have a lot of offers, though?
What are you trying to say? He didn't
But
do
he
the job?
turned down. He's turned down a
I'm
couple
talking
of
about
head
because he
coaches.
left before.
But,
Yeah.
but
And
you're
came
right,
back.
because
I know,
Rob
but-
said
and only one
that-
team
that
took
he
him
might
back.
come back.
The
did say-
reason he may
Yes.
take offers is if Belichick is not going to retire anytime soon.
I mean, if
Now,
I'm him, he should just stay there.
Yeah, but Belichick is waiting to show everybody maybe that even if number 12 leave, I can still make this happen.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think you have to look that way, especially if I'm the guy that won 6 championships, more than 6 Super Bowls. Counting other teams, he won with the other teams. He's got a bundle full. He's in double
Everybody's
digits
ego.
for Super Bowls.
Can Tennessee beat Baltimore?
Hold that point right there. Can Tennessee beat Baltimore?
Let's not get crazy.
Careful.
Negative.
I just asked the question.
Negative. Let's pay some bills.
Careful. Our director is a Baltimore fan.
You know, only because I said...
No, great presentation, Tim. Could you email me the part about Geico, making it easy to switch and save hundreds?
Oh, yeah, sure.
You don't know my name, do you?
Of course I know your name. I just get you mixed up with the other guy. What's his name? What's your name?
Switch to Geico. You could save 15% or more on car insurance.
Could you just tell me? I want this to be over.
It hurt his chances of being a first-round draft choice in the NFL. He went from 1 to 3. That's a fair amount of money.
Because of a telephone call.
Because of a call. It hurt Joe Williams. He went, what, number 12? The 12 rounds weren't there back then. And so he went from a higher round to the Dallas Cowboys in 12th round. So he lost a ton of money. There were a few others that had a chance to make the NFL, including myself, and we were rebel rousers. We were atomic bomb for any other team to even invest in us. We were called all kinds of names, and nobody wanted to touch us. So we all lost, and it was the kind of thing that never ever should have happened. But there's one key component here that has never ever been discussed, but it's discussed when we talk about it. And that component has to do with Lloyd Eaton made a decision that day. And his decision was to kick 14 guys off a football team. But what he failed to realize in that decision, he's kicking 8 starting players off the football team.
Fans, I just want to thank you personally, and we're going to do more on the Black 14, but I've been getting so much response from that, and you just don't know what it means to myself and the rest of us that's still here, that you guys are watching that and you're asking about it. They're putting it on the front page of papers. The Washington Post had it on there. Not the notoriety, it's just that people know the story. And when you hear what happened to these guys and what happened, how it did not define their lives afterwards, you know how important that was to us. So the next couple of shows, we'll have more segments. And then we're even going to have some shows during Black History Month. So we want you to continue to watch, but I just want to personally say thank you. Mike?
And how can we get the T-shirt now, Tony? This is an opportunity for you.
Black14.net, not .com, Donna,
.net.
Yeah. We got it all set up on there. The store is set up on there. You can order. But what I want to do for some of you fans, you go to RedskinsMagazine.com and just leave your name or something. We know we're outdated on that, but Donna's working on it for me. And a lot of you that want to do that, I want to give you some of the shirts at a reduced rate. I want to get them out there because I know it's people interested. So think about doing that. We'll give you out the information each and every week. But go to black14.net and take a look at everything that we have.
And then we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about another piece Donna did. She did a beautiful job with the Ron Rivera interview, but you went out and you talked to the Wizards again. And this is a team that's beginning to show some progress.
Yeah, Mike, the thing about it is even though the Wizards are not winning right now, there's some bright areas. Got a chance to talk to Scott Brooks about the younger guys that's starting to step up, and the bench is the key thing with Bradley Beal out, and that's 27.8 points that they're missing from him with a lower leg injury. The younger players, rookies, and the bench is stepping up. I asked the coach, who will take Bradley Beal's place in those numbers that he has, and he has this to say. Hey, Coach, you talked about scoring. With Bradley out, who are you looking to get more scoring from?
I think, well, Jordan gives us scoring, and then it's going to have to be scoring by committee. The offense has to be, the ball has to be moving around. The offense is going to have to move the ball and the body around and try to find a good look. And we get good looks, we can shoot the ball pretty well.
Yeah, Tony, if you look at this, the second unit has come in and they've scored over 70-some points. And then some of the younger guys like Troy Brown and Smith and all of those guys, some of those are rookies, but it's the bench play. How many times do you actually see the bench come in and basically help the team? They had two big games against Portland and Denver. They lost to Portland, but they came in and beat a great Denver team the next night, and it was because of the bench play and those younger guys. So it's some bright areas, even though the Wizards are not winning, but it's some bright areas for this team that some of those younger guys are starting to step up until Bradley Beal comes back.
Well, you have to kind of think about that. Maybe that's happening in basketball right now, but back in the Gibbs area, that's kind of how we built our teams. A lot of times individuals such as Gary and different people got an opportunity, and when they got their chance to step in, they were second string supposedly, but they came in and became the first team. And then you got first team and second team of great players. That's how you build championships.
Well, I was down there for a minute, and they almost wanted to recruit me as one of the assistant coaches, and I told them that I had to talk to my agent first.
That's why they gave you that. That's what they gave you. That's why they gave you those towels.
They must have been drinking some bad Kool-Aid.
Now, you printed some bills over the course of the holiday season, and you can talk a little bit about the gifts if you want. But we should take a look at the scholarship contest, because you have done this out of your pocket now for 35 years. This will be the 36th next year. But 35 years you've
He has
done
big
this.
pockets, though.
And,
oh, no, they little teeny pockets.
He has a lot of money.
You know how the kids used to pull their pockets out and nothing's in them?
So let's take a look at this, and then they'll find out how they can enter.
Big pockets.
Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus Minority Scholarship Essay Contest is underway. This year's topic, if you were a member of the Black 14 in 1969, what would you have done? All minority high school seniors are eligible to enter. Submit essays to redmagplus.com and click Youth Sideline. Special prizes will be awarded to the winners. The deadline's May 1st, so get busy. You can learn more about the Black 14 by going to black14.net or simply Googling the Black 14. And then, you know, there's big news going on, Tony. The Nats today, all kind of stuff happened. They got my guy, Daniel Hudson, that I've been preaching. Please, he only made $1.5 million last year. I know that's a lot of money.
Yeah, don't be
$1 million. I know. But they did sign him. But there's a lot going on, Tony. If you take a look at all the moves that they have made, They went out and they signed the reliever that they beat literally in the World Series. They went and got Will Harris. He had a 1.50 ERA. He was probably the second or third best reliever in all of Major League Baseball player. They got Starlin Castro. I've always loved him. He's got a 2-year deal with him. They re-signed Yan Gomes, and I'm so happy to see that because we knew Suzuki wasn't going to make it a whole season. You got to have a second guy, and he's still very young, and he's got a lot of potential. I think he'll bounce back this year, especially batting average-wise. They got Daniel Hudson for 2 years. They got Eric Thames, big bomber, first baseman, 2-year deal with a lot of pop. But when we were in there, and Bob was in there, and I was looking at stuff real quickly, Zimmerman has better stats.
Yeah, but Zimmerman gets hurt a lot, and this is a great plus segment you're doing. We're going to do this the rest of the year, but you can quit trying to avoid the picks. And you can quit trying to avoid the rest of it, right? We only got 3 or 4 minutes.
No, we got plenty of time.
Like I told you.
We're ready.
I told you I was too old to be drove, but too young to be led.
No, we're ready.
You know who's leading right now,
Yes.
do you not?
You know,
want to talk about it?
I'm going there now.
No, he would try to. You see, he try to use up all the time.
No,
Let's go.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, for the winner of the Sports Bar Challenge, let's take a look on the screen. Boom. It's magic. Boom. There were Harry's Ale House. Fredericksburg won this year. And your runner-up was what?
Billy Baines.
Yep.
And I mean, it was close all the way to the last pick. So we had them to pick the last 4 games. And Billy had a Crystal City restaurant, had a little bad day that day. And he came in
Gary
second,
did too,
but Billy's been with us a long time.
You know,
I think he got his picks from Gary.
Y'all should thank my daughter for
now you're
gonna blame it on your daughter.
My daughter for saying, Poppy, give them a chance because you dominate the whole year. Give them a chance and then come back
did they
the
say
last week.
We got 2 minutes. Show the picks. Let's look at
The
it.
screen, and you're going to pick hot.
Sure.
Tony likes to pick hot, so he's going with Baltimore. He is going with KC, San Francisco, and the Packers. So all 3 of us will be tied again.
So we're going to the last week. It's going down the last 2 weeks. And you know, it's going to be a big time, and whoever it comes in fourth, they're fired automatically. Now, my tip for the week is come back and watch us next week because we're going to have an even better show. We have a little bit more fun. Yes, the Washington Redskins aren't in it right now, but one thing we'll keep doing is having our plus. We'll talk about the playoffs, but one thing we'll do is tell you the truth. And one thing I just want you guys to give me one big team that you think will make it to the Super Bowl. We got about 40 seconds.
I like Seattle.
To the Super Bowl?
Yep.
They don't have a running game. Come on, Mike.
Kansas City.
Baltimore.
Okay.
What about you?
San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not a really big San Francisco fan, but they just got everything together.
Oh, you say to win the Super Bowl or make it
to the Super Bowl.
Going to the Super Bowl.
So next week when we come
Seattle?
back, you'll see again, and I'll be here. But thank you guys for each and every time you come and watch us. We'll be back next week at the same time.
We're in the Super Bowl.
Once again, in a minute.